Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Debt Weapon Velocity Banking Program for tonight. We know that you're going to gain so much information on tonight. And the first thing we're going to do is going to recite our declaration. So if you would please repeat after me. This is my life.
This is my life.
I declare today my mindset has changed.
I declare today my mindset has changed.
My mindset has changed.
I am clear about my path.
I'm clear about my path.
I am debt-free.
I am
debt-free.
I walk in the understanding of my finances.
I walk in the understanding of my
finances.
I control my spending habits.
I control my spending habits.
I am not a consumer.
I am not a consumer.
I am an investor.
I am an investor.
My money works for me.
My money works for me.
All things are possible to me because I believe.
All things are
possible to me
because
I believe.
I am financially sexy.
I am financially sexy.
I won't give up.
I won't give up.
All right, great job, guys. All right, so tonight we have here our wonderful Sabor Al Demary, who is an awesome husband, a father, a brother. He is such an awesome guy. He's a real estate investor. He has over 29 properties, approximately 1.7 million in assets. He's an accredited investor, legally allowed to trade securities between financial institutions. He's an acquisition manager of a $40 million fund in Texas, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. He's known as the mortgage note broker in the world of mortgage lending. He and his colleagues broker approximately 2.5 million a month. He has 4 active LLCs and businesses. He's a consultant of Velocity Banking, credit services, and real estate investing. We have 3 coaches that work for Demary Funding. I am one of them. My name is Rosie Jones Clark. I am also the membership chair. We also have Renee Allen, who's a wonderful coach, and our Brandon Pollard, woohoo, Brandon and Renee, who are also coaches. What is velocity banking? It's a strategy that actually uses lines of credit to pay off your debts faster than the traditional method. Velocity banking helps you to quickly become debt-free as well as boost your credit scores. Many may have initial concerns. One of them is velocity banking is a totally new concept to me. And it will be, but you'll get used to it if you're part of this program. The whole process doesn't fully make sense to many people, but again, it will once you're a part of this program. Many may have the concern, will it actually help me? So sometimes when you listen to something a couple of times, you may get it the first time, you may not. It may take several times. But I promise you, this program will definitely help you. If it's so good, why haven't I heard about it? Well, I myself had never heard about velocity banking. But once I was introduced to it, I began to Google and look up many things about velocity banking to learn a whole lot more. And now I truly understand the benefits of it. And I am wholeheartedly sold on it. And that is one of the reasons why I became a coach. Some people may say that I'm nervous to make a dramatic financial change. And that's a normal feeling. Anytime there's a behavioral change or something that we want to do, we tend to become very nervous about it. And we wonder if that's going to work for us. And, we're nervous mainly because we don't want to make a mistake. This, I promise you, will not be a mistake. Will I make a mistake and make my financial situations worse? Absolutely not if you follow the steps of velocity banking. You are definitely going to make your financial situation much, much better. It's going to be a process, of course, and it's going to mean trusting the process, trusting your coach, trusting in yourself, and trusting in whoever your God is to get you through it. It's not a difficult program. However, it does take tenacity and it does take diligence. And once you put those two things together, it's honestly going to work for you. The Mary Funding Company. I love the fact that Sabor always says a movement is a movement. And most of us know, or all of us probably know, I'm sure, that there have been many movements throughout history. But the only movements that have actually made a difference for a lifetime are those movements that could see a vision, see a mission, catch a vision, make a sacrifice, change behavior, be persistent, keep moving forward, and make change for everyone. Those are movements. And tonight, if you don't already know about velocity banking, you'll be introduced to it again by Sabor with some other strategies. But this program is really about movement, doing something about your financial situation. Many of us have sat on the sidelines and we've watched our credit scores take deep dives, and we've been there for many, many years, stuck in that same situation. But through this program and through Velocity Banking, which is one of our levels of programs, will definitely help you to dig your way out of the quicksand. And we'll come back later and we'll talk about all of the different levels that we have as part of Velocity Banking. But I'd like to introduce you guys again to our wonderful person, Sabor DeMary, who is going to speak with you tonight a little bit more about Velocity Banking. Sabor?
Rosie, you went out on the last part. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
I introduce you guys to Sabor.
All right. You went out on us, Rosie, for a minute there.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not going to take up a lot of time because I have Patrick here, and he dedicated his time graciously to join us tonight to speak about mortgage note investing. A lot of people know me as a mortgage note broker, but a lot of people don't know that I also have seller finance deals where I take my own funds and I buy properties and sell. I buy properties and then I force appreciation by doing a full rehab on those properties, and then I seller finance those properties to end users for home people that are stuck or destitute and can't get traditional lending because of credit problems or some kind of financial ignorance, something in their past that just stopped them from moving forward. So we try to bless our communities by also giving back. So I just want to make sure that everybody know that I'm not just a mortgage note broker, that we also try to help our communities and push the dime forward. A lot of areas are being gentrified. So me and my team, and I have 12 partners, me and my team, we try to go in and buy these properties and do a full rehab. That way we can force appreciation in these so-called B class and C class neighborhoods. But with that, I just want to go ahead and share my screen real fast. And I don't have a lot tonight because Patrick's again speaking. So I just want to give a quick 15 minutes scenario, and then I'm going to give it over to Patrick so he can bless us with some information tonight about mortgage notes, okay? So everybody that's been in our group, they already know that I always start out with the questions for over the past. So just real fast, everybody on the call last week, these are the same questions because I didn't get a lot of participation last week. So these are the same questions. All right, so how much available credit do we recommend?
250,000.
Right. How much?
250,000.
No. But yes, but that is fine. But the minimum amount we recommend at least 120 in available credit But 120 in available credit, that gives you 36,000 because you're allowed to use 30% of your utilization before your credit score tanks. So that gives you 36,000 salary for you to leverage and to buy real estate or use it as a down payment or sometimes even use it as a flip. Again, this is about personal and business credit. So again, if you have a high limit, like a $250,000 line of credit on the business side, that gives you more leverage to do your rehabs or buy a property or have the money for the down payment. Next question. If I have a HELOC of 10,000 on a credit card, I'm sorry, if I have a HELOC for 10,000, I have a credit card for 10,000, how much available credit do I have? Easy math.
$20,000.
There you go. Thank you. All right. So name some lines of credit that we talked about.
HELOC, PLOC, credit card.
HELOC.
There you go. Business line of credit. Got you. Thank you.
That's right.
All right. And what is the easiest way to build your child's credit?
Put them on our credit card
As an authorized
Authorized
user.
user.
as a user. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. And your line of credit becomes your new what when she starts this program?
Checkings account.
There you go. Thank you. And what is paycheck parking?
When you
Paycheck
get,
parking.
The lines of credit.
Sorry.
Your lines of credit.
Okay. Thank you. Somebody is jamming back there.
There we go.
And what is chunking? All right, if you're not answering the question, can you please mute yourself? What is chunking? Anybody?
when you take large sums of money and pay it on a bill.
Yes. So you'll take a chunk off your line of credit, your credit card, whatever, do a balance transfer or whatever, however your coach tell you to liquidate your line of credit. And then you'll take a chunk of that and you drop it on principal only, car, loans, any kind of amortized schedule. That way you'll pay off that debt at an accelerated rate, okay? And always we end with this question, has this program so far been beneficial to help you?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, so tonight I started, I don't know why it won't let me go down. My computer frozen? Maybe, no, here we go. All right, what is going on over here? There we go. All right, so the night I started this call and looking in the mirror because I wanted to go over somebody's finances and also talk about traditional ways that we've been taught to, bank basically, and what keeps a lot of people from living paycheck to paycheck or also in the rat race and not be able to create passive income for themselves. So the first thing that we always look at is the way we've been taught to bank is that we go to work, our money goes into the bank account, and then we pay our bills out of that, right? That's how most people work. And not only that, they pay their bills and then they live off the residual, the leftover amount. And that becomes their income for the next 2 weeks or bi-weekly or however, or weekly or however their next paycheck comes. They live off the rest after work, bank, bills. So in this scenario, we're going to talk about somebody that has a little bit of debt, but it's easily, and I don't know why we put that right here. Y'all forgive my error right here. My screen is messed up, but y'all know what it meant. All right, so we have a mortgage of $140,000 on a 30-year term. He has 323 payments left. Interest rate is 3.4, and his monthly payment right now is $862, and that's principal and interest. He's paying $628.87 a month. So his current income is $3,500 a month. He has $3,000 in savings. His electric bill is $170. His first car payment is $273. His second car payment is $399. His car and insurance is $317. Well, his car insurance is $317. Then food and gas is $400. Student loans $33 he pay. He has a balance of $50,000 and a miscellaneous debt, eating out, those type of things. Then he also has 5 credit cards. So we see the amounts over there. I don't want to take up too much time here, but he has a $2,000 line of credit, a $12,500 line of credit, another $2,000, and then a $1,400 line of credit, and a $2,800 line of credit. He has a little bit of debt in between those, as we can see, the 160, the 115, the 40, and the 40. And the end ones is going to be his balances that he currently owes on that. Okay, so that means he has an income of 3,500. His debt altogether, with all these things total up monthly, he's going to have a debt of $3,200, right? So he has cash flow, money left over is 300. So that's normally what he lives on after he pays his bills, the way he's currently banking, right? Eliminate is killing me in here, but I'm not gonna mess with it right now because I'm already in the flow. So I put in the question, which debt do we eliminate first to create more cash flow for this person here? And this is what we teach in this program, so that you'll understand how you can leverage that cash flow and your lines of credit to buy your performing asset, such as a mortgage note, like Patrick going to talk about tonight, or start a business, or fund some type of project as far as rehabs or buying a property or having a down payment, as we always talk about on these calls. All right. So the way that we teach this program, so now instead of, work, bank, bills, we include just one thing. We just include one tiny little step that would make a big difference in this whole person in your personal financial future, especially if those that's trying to find a way out to create passive income. I know a lot of people look for mortgage notes or want to learn about mortgage notes, and the first thing they want to do is learn about mortgage note brokering. However, with mortgage note brokering, it is another job. There is a lot of marketing. A lot of people, even most know me as being the front guy, but I have a whole team behind me that does the marketing. They know me for, closing the deals or writing up the launches and assignments, but that's not me. I have a whole team that does those things too. So again, mortgage note, it does pay handsomely, but it is work. Okay. In any business, it is work. But if you want to try to change your financial future from what your current stance is, you have to start looking at the velocity banking. I call it the debt weapon program method. Okay. So now instead of work, bank, your money goes to your line of credit, and then you pay your bills. The reason why it goes on your line of credit is because that money is now always liquid. Okay. And I'll show you in the next slide by what I mean by liquid. Okay. So the first thing that I do when I see this situation, and a lot of times this is how clients come to us and we see this situation, we get all of their, we want to know the three main things that we need to know is your income, your expenses, and your cash flow. Again, income, expenses, and cash flow. So that allows us to see where we can increase your monthly cash flow, that which allow you to invest in other opportunities and free up your cash flow, that you'll have more to do other things with your money at the end of each month. Okay. So I just want to run through this real fast. I got like 10 minutes or so before I let Patrick take over. But okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do when I look at this, we want to increase this person's monthly cash flow, right? So we already know that he has $3,000 in savings. I say do not have savings, because your line of credit becomes your savings. It becomes your emergency. It becomes your vacation. It becomes everything. You have to know how to use your line of credit properly. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the $3,000 he has in savings, and I'm going to pay off cards 1, 3, and 4. Okay. By paying off the cards 1, 3, and 4, what that does is, oh my gosh, this thing is going to get on my nerves. I think I got it. All right, so paying off the cards 1, 3, and 4, which right now, if you see on the side, total of $2,075.68. Okay, by paying those cards off, by using that money that he had in savings. Now remember, even though he's moving that money from savings over to the balances on his card, your line of credit is liquid. Once he pays that $2,075.68 over, he can use it again in case of emergency. Okay, but what that does is free up those monthly payments that he's currently making, the 160, the 40, and another 40. So that gives him that frees up $240 that he's spitting out every month on bills. So that takes his monthly cash flow that he currently has of $300 now to $540. Okay, so now he still has some money left over in that savings. So now with that $924.32 in savings, we're going to pay card 2, which has a balance still. It has a balance of $4,837.68, right? So what we're going to do on that one is going to take the $922.32 and drop it onto the card 2. which is also happened to be the card that has his highest available credit, which is 12.5. Okay. So as we always said, your line of credit now becomes your new checking account, meaning nothing gets done in your household. No bills are paid out of your bank account no more. All your bills need to be linked or rerouted over to your line of credit. Okay. So now card 2 becomes his or her new checking account. And the available credit now is $7,662. That's how much he has different from what he owes. Okay. And again, in slide 4, I just repeated what I just said. Next, we're going to move all the car insurance, electric, food, gas, miscellaneous, all those into auto draft onto his new checking account, which is going to be the 12.5 line of credit. Okay. So now that every time he gets paid, the $3,500 that he has coming in every month now goes back to that checking account. You pay that $3,500 back to that line of credit. Every time he pays it down to that line of credit and his income, his expenses go out 1 month, he's going to also lower that line of credit back down by $540, which is actually his cash flow. Am I making sense? By following this method and step that we try to teach you in there, he would satisfy that line of credit, the second line of credit, in 9 months. Okay. So now he has, out of all his available credit, he has $20,700 he's allowed to use. We say do not use how much percentage of your line of credit without making your credit score tank? Anybody?
No more than 30%.
No more than 30%, so your credit score will go down. And again, we want to look financially sexy to the bank. We want to show them that we know how to utilize our money and pay our bills, not make payments, but we make payoffs. Okay. So now we have 27 in available credit, which allows us to use $6,200, basically $6,200. All right. So now let's say after 9 months, car 1 has went down by principal, not interest, but principal by $200. That means that gives us $1,800 that's been paid off in those 9 months that he was working on that card 2. All right. So now his balance is going to be $2,144. Okay. Now, again, what we're going to do now is satisfy his car 1. By satisfying car 1, what that means is we're going to take the $2,100 from our line of credit, depending on what your coach says your line of credit is. Again, your line of credit varies. You know, I'm a credit card type of guy because I can get business lines of credit and ask for credit line increases and all that stuff. But whatever your business coach says, you know, is best for your method. But anyways, you're going to take the $2,100 off of the line of credit and satisfy the remaining payments on that car 1. What that does is free up his cash flow. And so instead of making the $273 and paying $200 towards principal, which would end up taking him another 24 months, we just satisfied that in month 10 of him paying down his debt. So now he has no more debts on far as the credit cards and that car loan 1. Okay, the only reason that we haven't attacked car loan 2 yet because it has a higher balance of 16,874, right? So now he's satisfied car 1. Again, that increases monthly income into his household by 813, right? So if we take 813 and divide it by his monthly cash flow, he'll have that $2,100 that he took off his line of credit satisfied back in 2.5 months. Okay, and he's back at 20,700. And now he's back at 27, right? So now let's see, that means from the time he took care of those the car 2 and the time that he took in between paying off car 1, that's been 11.5 months, right? So now we're going to move on down to car 2, and we can move on down to car 2, which has gone down by $300 in between the 11.5. That means his balance of 16 has went down to 13.5, basically. Okay. So I put in here, let's do some math, but I'm not going to do that right now. But just basically, if this person took that line of credit and took just $24.39 and pay back every 3 months, which is going to be 3 times his monthly cash flow. And every 3 months, he's going to drop $24.39, $24.39, $24.39. He'll have that car paid off in 12 months, car 2 paid off in 12 months. All right. So with now that he has a free cash flow besides his monthly mortgage payment of $862, you got to think he has $3,500 income, and he only has a monthly payment and his little expenses. So that leaves him roughly around $1,500. He went from $300 to about between $2,000 and $1,500 a month, right? Now he has cash flow that he can actually save. Not only that, again, he's going to somebody, can you please mute yourself? You're breaking up the group here. Florida. Annie, can you please mute yourself? Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, still not muted, Annie. Today's road setting records. All right. Sorry, guys. So he'll have between $1,500 and $2,000 that he can leverage now, right? But again, that's his monthly cash flow in his household. We do not teach you to use your income coming in. He has a line of credit. What we want to do is leverage that line of credit. We're going to ask for credit line increases on all those cards to increase his available credit. Again, we can liquidate those lines of credit to buy a mortgage note. We can use that line of credit to put as a down payment. You may have to go to the bank if you don't have all of it and take out an investment mortgage, which requires you to put 25% down onto that investment mortgage. And then after that investment mortgage, you'll have your money to the bank. And again, it's all about arbitrate. You have your money to the bank that you owe $206 a month, but this property or this mortgage note is bringing you $1,000 a month. You pay your $200 back to the bank, and then you cash flow the rest. It's just that simple. You pay back that, you use your cash flow to pay back that line of credit. Once you pay back that line of credit, you take, say, $10,000, say they gave you $50,000 now, since you're just such a good person. Now you take $10,000 off that line of credit, drop it to principal only on that mortgage, right? And then again, you use your cash flow, pay that off. Once you get down that $10,000 back down, you take another $10,000 off your line of credit and you drop it down to that mortgage paid off. It's as simple as that. Once you get, I know it sounds complicated, but it's really, really simple. Brandon and Danielle's doing it. They'll have their primary mortgage paid off next year. So proud of y'all. So they'll have their primary mortgage paid off, and they're using a HELOC. And I use a credit card. They use HELOC. So everybody's using their method differently. But again, by just increasing your cash flow and boosting your credit score, because every time, remember, when you pay these debts off, your credit score is going to shoot through the roof. And you go back to the banks and get your credit line increases, that will give you more opportunity to leverage that money to buy a performing asset. That'll give you to create passive income, and on and on. But it's really just that simple. And I hope, you employ and start learning about velocity banking. Don't just take it from me. There's hundreds of videos on YouTube, and you can Google it. Most of the information I've shared tonight. But besides that, I'm just going to shut up and let Patrick take over and talk to you guys about the importance of mortgage note investing. Patrick, you there?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. How are you, Sabur? Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be on your show here. This is new to me. I didn't know you had this going on. This is pretty cool. I think you muted yourself, Sabur. I can't hear you.
So yeah, we've been doing this probably about a year now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, this is so cool. So, I think just coming right off of what you said, Sabur, the idea is to pay off debts and to put your money into assets that produce cash flow. And so a lot of people are buying rental properties and acting as landlords, and that's very, very popular and has been for years. And I know that a lot of people are starting to hear about buying mortgage notes. And so Sabur wanted to have me on today to help describe, I guess, to this group a little bit about what buying mortgage notes really is and how we do it and sort of what the outcomes could be. So I didn't know if I needed to have a formal presentation or just go with it and go open on it, but I do have a couple things I can show that may help everybody understand. But for those of you who have never heard about it, and I don't know your audience, Sabur, if there's people who have never heard about it on here, I know there's a couple people from our group in this group as well, so they know what we're talking about. But we're literally going to banks and hedge funds that own people's mortgages. What I mean by that is when you go to a bank and you get a 30-year mortgage fully amortized from Chase or Wells Fargo, they now hold your mortgage. That means they own your note. When you buy a house and you have the cash in hand to go buy the house cash, you don't need a mortgage note, right? They would sign the deed over to you and hand you the keys. But most people don't have enough money cash to go and buy a house. And so they need to seek financing in order to afford the home. And when you go get financing on a house, you sign a document that's called a note or promissory note. And so what a promissory note is, it's just a document that explains the terms of which the money is to be paid back that you've borrowed. And so, you're going to borrow money from the bank and they'll say, great, we'll give you $300,000 and we'll charge you 5% interest rate. And we'll give you that money for 30-year loan and we'll amortize it and your monthly payment will be such. And those are the terms of that loan. And we all know in unsecured debt, like talking about credit cards and things like that with Sabur, there's no collateral. And so with mortgage notes, the actual IOU document or that written promise to pay that you sign that's called a note is backed by or collateralized with another document that's called a mortgage document. And so when you buy a house and you need financing, you sign two pieces of paper, although probably 50 or 100 pieces of paper, it's this thick, but there's two main documents that you're signing. One is a promissory note that is promising you're going to pay the money back to the lender that you borrowed from and on those certain terms that are listed on that note. The other document, the mortgage, is literally a document that you sign that you volunteer to pledge your physical real estate as collateral for the terms of the money borrowed. So basically, you know how it is. If you don't pay your mortgage based on the terms of that mortgage note, they get to take your house and you signed a mortgage document that says that's perfectly fine. And so that's what's so great about mortgage note investing is because you're able to buy one of these mortgages from a bank or a hedge fund or a champion like Sabur. You're able to buy one of these mortgage notes and take the place of the bank, become the lender, and now collect mortgage payments with a physical piece of real estate acting as your collateral versus buying a physical piece of real estate and acting as a landlord. And so those of you who know the headaches of being a landlord with the phone calls, the repairs, the issues of getting squatters out, changing tenants, people missing rent payments and so on and so forth. And it's a headache. And so note investing is sort of like buying rental properties, acting as a landlord, but without all of those headaches that come along with being a landlord. So I just wanted to give that summary to everybody and make sure that we understand what we're buying. We're actually buying that mortgage note. We're buying that debt. And we're collecting the rest of the payments due to that lender. So we take the place of the bank and collect mortgage payments every month, not rent. So wanted to give everybody that little foundation, those of you who didn't understand what owning a mortgage note meant. I'm not sure if I can share my screen, Sabur, can I? I can bring some things up here and just give a little bit of a, let me see if I can share screen.
Yes, sir, you should be able to share.
Yeah, let me bring something up here, guys. I normally don't do presentations like this, but I thought, hey, I'll do something special for
I rant, so they know I'll start ranting, so I have to stick to PowerPoint. And you know that.
Yeah,
you know
I love Q&A and open forum, but I think that I need to give some information to spark up some questions, right? So I'll bring this little PowerPoint on, guys, but let me get onto this and show you just some case studies in which we'll hopefully explain how buying these notes and what the outcomes are and how it works out. So I have some case studies here. You can see my screen, Sabur? Perfect. So this says performing note case studies. And I want everybody to understand why I'm saying performing note case studies. There's two types of mortgage notes. There's some that are performing, and that means that the borrower or the homeowner is more than likely occupying the property because they are paying their mortgage payment on time every month. And that would be a performing loan or a performing mortgage note. They also have non-performing mortgage notes where you can actually buy a loan that is already in the delinquency stage, but we won't get into that today. We're just going to go over some performing note case studies. And I've named these case studies just for funsies, but number one we're going to go over is called the deadbeat daughter. Number two is called the landlord lady, and number three is called it paid off. And so we'll go through these, give you guys some insight on how these mortgage note investments work out, and then we'll open it up maybe for some questions and answers. So here's the story of this deadbeat daughter. The story is that there was a father. The dad was really extremely supportive of his daughter. The dad actually bought a house, Sabur, the way you do, right? He actually bought his daughter a house because she couldn't qualify to get a bank loan. And the dad created a seller carryback note and issued that to his daughter. And so that his daughter could start making mortgage payments to him. Okay. Being a really cool dad to hook daughter up like this, right? He helped out his daughter and her family. He had grandkids, right? And helped them all move into the house and did everything a good dad would do. So pretty cool dude. The daughter did not give dad a down payment. He didn't require one. Cool move for the dad. The daughter lived in the house for 4 years and actually paid her mortgage payment on time for 4 years. The daughter went out and bought herself a brand new car, another new car for her husband. And the daughter started paying her mortgage payments to dad periodically when she felt like it. And the daughter and dad got in a little bit of a tiff over it. And the daughter told the dad that it's okay because he won't foreclose on his own daughter. Okay. And so, of course, funny pictures here. He was a pretty super dad. And then that little picture of Charlize Theron there, but that's the deadbeat daughter. But you'll make your own decisions, right? This little house that he bought for his daughter and carried back the loan was this little house here in Dahlonega, Georgia. And this is kind of the story of this. And I'll show you here where the market value of the property was $130,000 at the time. She had been paying her mortgage payment for 4 years and the house had gone up in value. She had paid some of the mortgage down. And so the loan balance when we were presented with this opportunity was $64,500. That's what she owed to her father. Her father had placed a 6% interest rate on the mortgage note, and the remaining term that was left was 312 payments. The monthly payment that this loan came with was $396.83 a month. That was the monthly cash flow. We call this an underperforming note because she was paying periodically when she felt like it, not every month on time. And so the loan balance was $64,500, but because she hadn't paid quite a few months and strung her father along there was some arrearages and some interest that was accumulating on those missed payments. So the loan balance was $64,500, but there was arrearages of $8,800 that had added up. The purchase price, even though that this was the remaining balance, the purchase price we were able to buy this asset for was $47,500. The calculation in this purchase, when we bought it, based on collecting the payments of $396.83 a month for the next 312 months, created a 9.1% ROI. So when we talk about the velocity banking and we talk about making passive cash flow, it's very difficult to get yourself into a safe collateral backed investment that can get you 9, 10, 11, 12% on your money. In this case, 9.1% annualized ROI on your investment. Not bad. Now, what I want to talk to you guys about is that when you buy one of these performing mortgage notes like this, there's really three main outcomes that can occur. The three possible outcomes that can happen to you is that the borrower could pay as agreed, meaning they could just pay their mortgage payment on time every month for the next 312 months, never move, never refinance, never do anything. It's not very popular that that's going to happen, but this is what would be the outcome of the investment. You would collect that cash flow monthly for 312 months. It would be a total payback of $123,811, which would be a 9.1% annualized ROI on your money for quite some time. So not so bad. But is that very likely to happen? How often do people live in a house, pay their mortgage payment on time, never move, never sell, never refi for 25 years? It's very rare. So here's another thing that could happen. It's called early payoff. They could pay you off early. And I don't mean pay you off early like Sabur is talking about, like making huge chunk payments and actually giving you the money and paying the mortgage off. I mean that early payoff as the first position lender could happen if they sell the house and move somewhere else, or if they went to a new bank and refinanced you out of the picture and got a new bank to be their lender. What happens in those two cases is that you get paid what is owed, And so this is just a scenario I put together that says, what if you bought this note and they paid you on time? They paid you their monthly mortgage payment on time for 5 years. And then after 5 years, they went ahead and sold the house, or they refied, or something like that happened. Let's take a look at the scenario here. If you collected a monthly payment of $396.83 for 5 years, that's 60 payments, you would have collected a total cash flow of $23,810. Because of amortization, their balance wouldn't be going down so much, because most of these $396 payments, most of it is interest or profit for the lender. They're not paying down a lot of their principal balance. So although you held onto this for 60 months and collected $23,810, the payoff balance that they would owe you at that time after 5 years would be $56,783. And so if they sold the house or refinanced you out with a different bank, you would get paid off the what the payoff balance would be at that time. So you would have collected $23,810 over 5 years. Then you would have been paid off $56,783. That totals $80,593 in a 60-month time period. Based on the money you invested, it ups your yield to 18.6% on your ROI. Not bad. Not bad. When people hear about buying mortgage notes, of course, the first thing they ask is, what happens if they stop paying you? Well, that's actually sometimes one of the better scenarios, to be honest. This game was invented by bankers long ago when they created the American dream. So trust me, they made the rules to benefit themselves, not the borrowers. You're stepping into the bank's shoes, you benefit from the rules they made. And so here's what happens. Well, I don't have to go much into it, right, Sabura? I think everybody knows what happens if they fail to pay their mortgage, but let's take a look at what would happen for you as the lender if someone failed to pay you back. And this right here, guys, would be as if, again, the scenario is if they paid you on time for 5 years straight and then went delinquent, and you would have to foreclose and take over the property. So that's what we're doing here in this scenario. So again, you collect the $396.83 for 60 months, you collected $23,810. You'd be able to foreclose and sell that property for $115,000 very easily with a quick sell. Your total payback would be $138,810, and that's a 28% yield, or 28% annualized ROI for those 5 years. So again, not bad. There's not a lot of investments where we're making 28%, especially with a safety play. Maybe if you're in a risky investment, sure. But in this scenario, could you see how there wasn't many areas in which you as the note investor could lose, right? And what ended up happening actually with this asset is that she started making double payments to catch up the arrearages, because we said that we're not her father, and that we would foreclose on her. So she woke up and started paying extra payments, which increased our cash flow, which increased our ROI. So that's how that one turned out. And it was actually a great investment. This is it right here. The monthly payment, $396.83. She started paying an extra $310 a month on top of that to catch up those arrearages. And the monthly cash flow became $706.83, which took our 9.1% yield to 17.8% yield. And now that's called a reperformer, because now it's performing again on a monthly basis. So that's one. The other one here I have for you is, I call it the landlord lady. And here's the story about this one. There was a lady who came to us who owned 4 rental houses in the city where she resided. She was only a 32-year-old woman who began her real estate investing career by purchasing her first rental property at age 21. Good stuff, right? I was already congratulating her. Reached out to us after finding a video about note investing on YouTube, and the video was talking about getting the same returns that landlords get, but without all the hassles. And so we calculated her return on her investment over the last 10 years with those rental properties. And between the expenses and the property management companies and all that had happened, in calculating her ROI, she was making about 6% annualized ROI between her 4 rentals, which most people know is actually somewhat normal, right? And so she was just sick and tired of the 3 T's that come with being a landlord, right? The tenants, the toilet issues, the trash issues, and those kinds of things. And that's why she had reached out to us. And so here's the scenario. This little house we found, we had a note that we found that she was attracted to. And this is a little house in Burlington, North Carolina. The market value of the actual physical real estate, $114,000. The loan balance that existed, $32,400. She was able to purchase this note for $30,237 because these notes are sold at discounts. There was 324 payments left of $287.16, and that total payback, if collected $287.16, would have been $93,040 over the length of the term. That would make a 10.75% yield, which is obviously a lot better than what she was getting on the rental properties with all the headaches. And so here's the borrower. And this is what's interesting. We call this the boring performer. And there's a reason why we laugh at that, right? Sabur knows what I mean. But this is the borrower. We'll call her Mrs. Smith. But Mrs. Smith was one of these older ladies who has always prided herself on paying all of her bills on time, no matter what. She actually paid her mortgage a few days early every month in the pay history. She had never missed a mortgage payment in her entire life. And I think she was in her 60s or 70s. She is the homeowner. Therefore, she is responsible for the property and any necessary repairs because it's her house. And why do we call this a boring performer, folks? It's kind of funny. Is it boring to make 10.75% annualized ROI on your money? Not so boring, right? Not so boring, but we call it a boring performer. And here's why. It's kind of funny, right? Here's the actual results. We helped this investor of ours buy this note because she wanted to get into note investing and get out of landlording. So we helped her buy this note for her very first note. Here's what happens. She collects payments every month with interest like the bank does. She doesn't have to deal with the tenants destroying the place or vacancies or anything like that. She doesn't have to deal with trash left behind or hoarding situations. She does not have to deal with contractors when there's roof leaks or the water heater breaks. She does not have to put the time in to help manage the property manager. And she has a lot more freedom and less stress. It's boring because, guys, she bought the note. She boarded it with a servicing company that collects the payments monthly from the borrower. And she gets the money deposited in her bank account every month and never gets any phone calls. That's why it's boring, right? But the boring performing note she bought created a 10.75% yield. Her very first note was doing far better than the rental property that took her years and years to build. So that's the results of this. And then there's one more. Hope I'm not being too long-winded here, Sabor, and everybody's getting value out of this. But here's another note, and we call it It Paid Off. And here's the story. It was a small condominium. That was the collateral, but there were some big red flags on this. The actual loan was originated as a liar loan. And if all you folks remember back when these loans were being created prior to the mortgage meltdown, liar loans, ninja loans, they called them all sorts of different things, but it was where they didn't care what your credit score was or your income or anything like that. And they were just giving you the loan. Her current interest rate on her mortgage was 15.25%. Anybody raise eyebrows when I say that? That's a bit of a red flag. The borrower was a nurse. She claimed to earn $7,000 per month from nursing and another $10,000 a month from her side business. It's also a bit of a red flag. This one seemed pretty risky, but with the investment to value ratio, it was a risk that we were willing to take, and I'll show you why. So here it is. This was a condominium in this little building here in Sherman Oaks, California. The market value of the condo was $250,000. The loan balance was $67,500. We were able to buy this mortgage note for $64,400 because, again, they're sold at discounts. There were 331 payments remaining at $871 a month, and the total payback would have been $288,301. That's a 16.3% yield. This is what happened. Lisa, we'll call her the borrower, she paid her mortgage payment on time every month for the first 38 months that we owned this note. So all of our fears and the red flags that were in our faces, we were kind of glad that we moved past those, and the numbers look good because she probably did have a good side gig and was able to make her mortgage payment as she promised. Then She went ahead after about 38 months of paying us monthly on this mortgage. She obviously did not like her high interest rate. So she refinanced her mortgage to get a lower interest rate with a different bank. We received early payoff on month 39, really. That's a typo. But take a look at what that means when we talked about that option of being paid off early. Let's look what it means for us. So the actual results was the total investment that we put into this note was $64,400. We collected 38 monthly mortgage payments of $871. The total payments collected was $33,908. And when she refied, the total loan payoff balance was $63,862. So combining the cash flow we made over the course of 38 months and then the early payoff balance, we got a total payback of $97,770, which created a 26.64% yield, right? Good stuff, right, folks? If you could get money and put it to work at 26.64%, it is almost guaranteed that over time you will create some wealth for yourself. This contact information I'll just leave up in just a moment. I'll bring it back up. But let me bring you a typical note that we deal with and a typical note that we sell, and then we can maybe open up to some Q&A. But here's a typical note that we deal with. Here's a typical note that we sell. Shucks, we bought this one off of Sabor. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Just joking. Don't know where we got this one, but this was an old note that has already been sold and it's in the past.
I think you did, Tim Crane.
Yeah, probably. So here's a scenario, guys, of a note that maybe you could buy or own in your portfolio. But this was just a little house here in Parkview Drive, Dyer, Tennessee. It was a performing note, owner occupied. Someone's living there. Someone's paying the mortgage payment on time every month. The balance owed on this was $75,452. We were able to buy this note for $59,818. The total monthly payments that were coming in from this note were $626.80. There were 310 payments left that we were purchasing. Total payback from a $59,000 investment would have been $194,428 if this loan paid to fruition. That would make a 12% annualized ROI. And here's your collateral. So remember, folks, you're investing $59,818. The collateral that's backing your investment is $128,900. And that was a value that we got from an actual realtor in the neighborhood, not Zillow. And so this is something to where, folks, if you bought this, your investment would be $59,818, and you'd start collecting $626.80 a month, each and every month to your mailbox for 310 months. That would be option one. Option two, the balance owed on the mortgage is $75,482. You're in it for about $60,000. That's $15,000 in equity, or like rental property owners like to call it, appreciation. We didn't have to wait for this. Folks, when we bought the note day one, we had $15,000 of equity or appreciation in our investment. This is the payoff balance, guys. So if we bought this note for 60 grand, these folks shortly thereafter decided to refinance with a new bank, sell their house and move somewhere else. Remember, you're getting paid off what they owe you. And so look at that. If you invested 60,000, shortly thereafter got paid back 75 grand, not bad. But the third one we talked about is on this specific asset, if they stopped paying and went delinquent. Even if you were in this investment for 60,000, if you had to spend $4,000 to $6,000 with a foreclosure attorney in Tennessee and spent 6-8 months going through the whole process, and you received a home that was worth $128,900, that would not be bad for you. So not any scary scenarios in this investment. Remember, you're the lender, not the landlord. You earn interest, not rent. Your investment is protected by real estate. You get passive incomes with high returns. Don't deal with the repairs, renovations, nothing like that. Low cost servicing, meaning you're not the one that they're sending the mortgage payment to every month. That would be weird. But you hire a servicing company, sort of acting like a property management company for rental house. The servicer is a licensed debt collector. They send the monthly statements out to the homeowner, collect the payments, and do all the dirty work and deposit the money in your account every month. And they do that, guys, for $20 a month. That's what they charge you to do that. And easy exit when we're talking about notes. They're easy to sell, guys. It's a matter of paperwork. It doesn't take long. You can get in and out of a note or do the paperwork to acquire or sell a note within days. Okay. And so that's why note investing is so great. You get a very good guaranteed yield. You get safety because your money's backed by collateral, and you get monthly cash flow. That monthly cash flow is very important, folks, because if you don't need it to survive and you don't need to spend the interest or the principal that's coming back to you monthly, you can compound that into more investments. With that, I will stop my screen share and stop blabbing here for a minute. Smitty, ROI is return on your investment. How much return are you making on your investment? So we'll open it up. If anybody wants to unmute and ask any questions about notes or anything like that, go right ahead.
I got the first question.
Yeah.
So I always try to teach my team, of course, everybody know me as to buying, brokering mortgage notes. But I always try to teach my team to think about seller financing. And I know a lot of note buyers don't do seller financing. I don't know if it's the legwork, especially with us, we go in and do the rehab. What is your take on seller financing? Because I know, to me, every dollar out, when we sell that property, we're asking for $2 or whatever that property appraised for and more. So your ROI is going to be higher. So what are your thoughts on that, seller financing?
No, I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. It's a great option, not only for people like you, Sabur, that are clever enough to use it as an exit strategy for real estate investing in that. But listen, let's not forget about the people, right? We all talk about, we all talk about us and coming up and investing and how to create passive cash flow. And we're all doing that. Woo woo. Remember, these are just regular old folks, man, that are just trying to afford their mortgage and live in that house. And so one of the things that's going to happen is I think that seller financing is going to become more and more popular in the upcoming years, in fact, and it's going to become more necessary because these borrowers, guys, with these restrictions that the large financial institutions are putting on loan qualifications, right? With the Dodd-Frank compliance and all the hubbub, all the hoops you've got to jump through to get the bank to lend you money, right? 2 out of every 3 people going into Wells Fargo for a mortgage loan right now are being turned down. And so there's no other option for these folks. You can't get it. If you can't get an institutional loan to go and be a homeowner, you're going to be an apartment dweller, okay, or a house renter, period. And some people want to own a home and do improvements to their home and make it theirs and have equity and appreciation over time. And they're not going to be able to do that for themselves and their families if it's not for people like us that are allowing them to buy homes and move in and be homeowners with seller financing, with folks like Sabur that will carry back that paper and become the bank for them. And it gives them the American dream, even though the banks won't give it to them. And so I think it's great. And I love buying seller financed notes, obviously. Sabur, you know that we buy them and we think they're great. The beautiful thing is, though, remember, we're helping people. We're helping people become homeowners, and we're helping people achieve that American dream. And the banks told them no, and we've got the solution for them. So I love it.
Times to me, especially, people come to you and stuff like that and come to me trying to learn how to broker notes first before they actually go into note investing. And I always try to tell them, it is important that you start leveraging your credit, or, that's my end game, to teach people how to leverage their money, because a lot of times they thinking they have to have a lump sum of money or a 401k or IRA with a lump sum of money in there. What do you think about, people that leverage their credit? They build their credit game up, they have $250,000 available credit and they buy mortgage notes and stuff like that. Do you feel that a risk buying a mortgage note with that, with those funds?
No. To answer your question, no. I mean, look, guys, what Sabur is talking about is leveraging cheap money so that you can go out there and make large spreads. Okay. And the spread being between what you owe to pay off your money borrowed versus what you're earning off of that money borrowed. And that's yours to keep. It's called the spread. And so I'll put it to you all like this. If you walked up to an ATM machine in front of a 7-Eleven, just give a visual, but if you walked up to an ATM machine in front of a 7-Eleven, okay, if this was like a magic ATM machine, okay, if you took $20, I know this is odd, but if you took $20 out of your wallet and you stuck $20 into the ATM machine, and then the ATM machine spat out $30 at you. Yeah, you put in 20 and it spat out 30. And you went, that's kind of cool. That's weird. And you're like, I wonder if that'll work again. And you put your $20 bill and stuck it back in the ATM, and then it spat out 30. The question I always ask people is, how long would you stand in front of that ATM sticking $20 bills into it? It's a no-brainer. So yeah, if you can borrow money at 4%, and then just like the note I showed you in Dyer, Tennessee, you can invest into a mortgage note that pays 12%. The difference between the 4% interest that you're paying to the lender or the bank that you borrowed the money from and the 12% that you're earning on the investment is like putting a $20 into an ATM machine and it spits you out 30. How many times would you do that? All day long. So that's what I tell people. Should you leverage your debt and buy notes with it? Yeah. If you can borrow money cheaply and invest it at a very high yield or return on investment, do it all day long. It's how people get wealthy. Listen, you know that they say Robert Kiyosaki owns 7,500 rental properties. Do you think he had all the money in his checking account to go buy 7,500 rental properties? Hell no. They talk about their lending partners and all the places they borrowed the money and leveraged, and they're getting money from anywhere they can as long as the money's cheap to borrow. And if they can get cheap to borrow money and go put it to work in a good ROI investment and keep the spread, come on. That's like actually, no, that's different. That's like actually somebody standing next to you at the ATM machine at 7-Eleven and you go, yo, can I borrow $20? And you borrow his $20, you stick it into the ATM machine, it spits out 30, you keep the 10. Ask him, how long can I keep borrowing your 20? Can I borrow it and do it again? Can I borrow it and do it again? And finally he goes, no, man, I want my $20 back. Well, how many times did you use his $20 and keep the 10 and then give him his $20 back? Yeah, absolutely. This is how people get wealthy, folks. You're not going to get, I hate to say this to these people on the call because I don't know everybody on this call, but I will tell you this, you will not build the wealth that you want to build in this life prior to you passing with your own money. Because I know the people who are on this call and show up to these mastermind calls, you don't want a little bit of wealth. You don't want to get $5,000 a month of passive income coming in. You don't want to own one rental house or two notes. I know that you guys on this call want to build massive wealth. Who wants to get to $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month of passive income? Who wants to own a portfolio that's worth millions of dollars that you can leverage? Yes, that's what we all want. You will not build that with your own money. It will take you too long. It will take you too much time. So you will have to leverage other people's money. And if it's not other people's, other institutions, other whatevers, but you're going to have credit lines or private funding partners or these kinds of things to buy all the deals and build the portfolio that you're looking to build.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
I have a question, Patrick. So as far as like taxes are concerned, right? You only pay the taxes on the spread that you receive, correct?
Yeah, you're paying taxes on profits paid out to you, right? And so if for instance, in note investing, right? In note investing, when you buy a note, some portion of the monthly mortgage payment coming back to you is your principal that you've invested coming back to you. A larger portion of that is interest. And so you wouldn't be taxed on how much money is coming into you per month because you don't get taxed on your principal coming back to you. And so you're getting taxed on any profits. And along that line, guys, when we buy notes, we buy them in entities like LLCs or C Corps or S Corps or things like that, so that we can utilize some of the tax write-off secrets that the pros can help us utilize to lessen the tax implications, because note investing is sort of considered secondary income. So they tax it at a pretty high tax rate. And so we don't invest personally, we invest in entities and then utilize obviously all the business tax write-offs that are possible.
Yeah, your tax strategist should make sure you know that, I know if you're buying the way I do, that because you're into real estate, that is actually income. That's not, you're not generating an extra source. Like if I buy a property, sell it, finance it, and then I sell that, that is actually my business. So that is business income. So you need to talk to your tax strategist about that, but there are ways you can go around that.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask that question. I didn't know if other people had it, but you know what they say, no question is a dumb question. So
that is for sure. There's only dumb answers, and I give those sometimes.
Now, Patrick, my question as far as, because again, this is about teaching people how to leverage their sources of income, you know, either their credit card, their HELOC, or, you know, whatever I try to make sure that people know they got to keep their cash flow liquid, right? Do you personally use lines of credit sometimes to buy your own mortgage notes, or you just use private funding or whatever?
No, look, I come from my background a little bit, Sabor, but I come from a background, guys, where I started raising venture capital for startup companies when I was 19 years old. I'm 41 now. And so raising funds from private individuals was never strange to me. I've been doing it for over 20 years. And so when I got into note investing, the path of least resistance for me, you understand, was to go to private individuals that had money sitting somewhere, whether it was an IRA, a 401k, a checking account, an old motorhome parked on the side of the house that they only use once a year now. Who knows where? Equity in their house where they could get a HELOC, like you got all the stuff you guys are talking about. And I went to the folks that I said, hey, you're earning 2.3% on average over the last 10 years in your IRA. Looking at that return in the next 15 years, say they were 50 years old, say in the next 15 years, by the time you're 65 years old, let me show you how much money you're going to have in that account to retire on. And you can do the simple math. I tell them, if you're only earning 2.3%, if I could get you into one of my note investments and get you, let's say 8%, let's look at the difference with 8% compounded for you over the next 15 years and show them how much money they would have in their retirement account just by taking a little bit of money out of their IRA, putting it over into a note investment with me, and not just allowing it to churn in an IRA. And the difference is staggering. And so sometimes it's a no-brainer for people if they trust me, if they trust notes and they understand what they're getting into. But, if you can, to me, it was better to help an individual like that and help them better their retirement, help them build wealth, help them get into a note investment they would have never known about if it weren't for me bringing it to them. And helping other people is huge to me. And so I haven't leveraged much money from credit cards to buy notes. I haven't leveraged, and Sabor, let me be straight. I didn't leverage an equity line of credit. I was so into note investing that I just sold my house completely and started renting and took all my money and put it in note investing. That's what I did when I got started. So I wasn't leveraging like that, guys, or borrowing. I was just all in. I sold everything I had and moved my whole life to be a professional note investor, and went all in both feet. I can't hear you, bud.
Yeah, well, congratulations on all your success.
No, I said I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let somebody else ask the question. But I know we got a couple of people from over from your group on here now, so I'm going to shut up, see if they have any questions for you.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, go ahead, shoot.
So let me see. I know I have some mortgage note people that's on here. Some mortgage notes. So my question for the people that's mortgage note, I know we also heard the term joker broker. How do you think people are actually able, Ed, I see you, Ed, do you actually think people can make a living off mortgage note broker? I know I've been doing it for 19 years. It is not my main source of income. There's no way you can make a living off of it, to me personally.
Well,
what are your thoughts?
I told somebody this the other day, and I hate to burst people's bubbles or make people feel like I'm like, not on their team or something like that. But no, look, I for 16 years, I was a high level sales coach, and I used to not a coach like a guru online, like pay me to coach you and I'll inspire you. None of that. A real sales coach, where I used to go to large home improvement corporations that sold home remodeling projects like roofing and solar and big $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 projects, kitchen remodeling, stuff like that. And I used to train their salespeople, the folks that would go out to the house and visit you at your home, give you the estimate and try to close you on hiring them. I used to train all those folks. And the commissions that were being made in that industry were pretty nice. I mean, these sales reps, they'd go out and make, say, 10% commission. So if they sold somebody a $40,000 solar system, they'd pocket $4,000. And it was one visit to the house and write up contracts and bring the paperwork back to the office, and kind of a cush sales job, selling people roof, solar, kitchen remodel, whatever. And they were making 10% commissions, guys. So a $40,000 deal there, you pocketed 4,000, boom, shakalaka. And next day they'd have more fresh leads for you. Hey, Mrs. Jones wants an estimate on solar, drive out there. And it was a pretty simple job, making big commissions, right? We talk about the average commissions as a note broker, and as a note broker, what, 1 to 3%, Sabor? Average 1 to 3%, 1 to 3%. I didn't say 10%, 1 to 3%. You brokered a $40,000 deal and they gave you $400, $800. Okay. So this is all I'm saying. You will do better and make more money faster and build more wealth if you go be a roof or solar salesperson than you will trying to broker notes. So no, you will not. And here's another thing. This is one hit, one kill. This is still living in the rat wheel of what we're all trying to get out of, right? This is, you worked your ass off, excuse my language, but you worked your ass off, made a whole boatload of connections, had to put yourself out there, had to get trusted, had people to because who's going to let you broker their notes when you go, hi, I'm brand new, but I want to broker your note. Why? I could let Sabur do it. I could let Sabur do it, who I trust. Why would I let you broker my note? Who are you, right? Who are you? You're a joker broker, right? And so, no. You don't want to do that because it's work your ass off for a little commission. Then what? You got to go work your ass off again to try to hunt down another little commission again.
And again, a lot
That's
of
the
times
rat
that
race.
income.
Like I said, you want to do that, just go down to your local solar company and say, hey, I'd like to sell solar part-time. You got some leads for me? I'll run out and sell some solar. You'll make more money faster. Believe me, less stress. So no, brokering is not the ticket. Right? Brokering is not the ticket unless you want to grind for 15 years or whatever, like Sabor. Sure. Now you make a name for yourself. People trust you and you get to be doing good deal. But no. And you know, another thing, Sabor, like you said, everybody getting into the note industry wants to be a broker. So like the competition, right? All the Dumbos trying to get into the same space. No. It's not what you want to do. The key to this, building real wealth, the key to it is being a note investor and owning these notes. Now, some of you might be saying, well, I don't have 50 grand. I don't have $69,000 sitting in my account to buy one of these notes. I wish I could buy one, but I don't have enough money. Who cares? Who cares? So dumb. So I have the coaching group, right, Sabor? So it's so crazy. Somebody will call me and they'll say, hey man, I have $500,000 invest into notes. And I go, epic. You have a pretty big head start over the guy who has 50 grand. Excuse me. The guy who has $50,000, he calls me, he says, hey, I got 50 grand to invest in notes. Good for you. You have a big head start over the guy that has 5 grand. But the reason why it's not that important is, here's the reason. The guy that has $500,000, Sabor, he's going to come to me and I'll say, awesome, dude, let's buy you 5 performing notes, all of them at $100,000 a piece, and we'll be rocking and rolling. Well, then his $500,000 is deployed. It's invested. Now he has great assets producing great cash flow. But what if another $100,000 note deal that's nice and juicy comes across his desk? What's he going to do?
Don't have no liquid funds.
You're done. You're done. What about the guy with 50 grand? They go, oh, cool, dude. We're going to buy you one $50,000 note, and then you're going to have a little bit of cash flow coming in every month. Then what are you going to do?
No
The guy with 5 grand, I say, don't worry. Don't worry. The guy with 50 and 500 only have a bit of a head start over you. But the bottom line is you're all going to end up in the same canoe, holding the same little oar, trying to paddle to the same place, because the 500 grand guy, the $50,000 guy are going to be just like the $5,000 guy saying, well, I don't have any more money to buy my next note. I can't buy any more notes. And that's not the way that you're going to achieve the wealth. I told you. So it's not a matter of you have $500,000, 50K, 5K. Don't worry about it. The bottom line is that you up your level of expertise and let your expertise become the value, right? Expertise in note investing, where to get the notes, how to vet the notes, the terminology, the paperwork, the exit strategies, the calculator, to do all of that. How do you sell the note to somebody when you want to get out of it and recapitalize? All of that expertise is where the value comes from. All the people with the money, right? See, we've been thinking backwards for a long time. You're at a lunch table with 8 different people at a large lunch table, and you have $5,000 to invest, and all the other people at the lunch table can easily write a check for 100 grand, no problem. Well, we've always felt like the inferior person at the table because, golly, they're probably more savvy, they're wealthier, done better than me, smarter than me, whatever it may be. They got all the money. I ain't got nothing. Look at these stud muffins or whatever you want to call it. I'll tell you what, now when you sit at the lunch table and you know where to get the notes, how to vet the notes, all that, you become the valuable person at the table, because all those people that can write the 100 grand check are going to compete over trying to get into one of your note investments. They know they're valuable investments. And so look, I bought 3 notes, guys. I bought 3 notes with my own money when I sold my house, and I'm still churning all that money and I'm making it go big, right? And I'm churning all that money. I'm growing my money. But I bought 3 notes, guys, and I'm a professional in the industry. I speak on the subject at events. We run a note dealership. Sabor knows how many notes we buy. on a monthly basis. I've been a part of hundreds of note deals, but I've bought 3 with my own money. What does that tell you? So all these note deals that we acquire, guys, we're acquiring with other people's money. And it's because not only are we helping ourselves by being the maestro and having the expertise, but we're also providing to them an investment that they would have never had the opportunity to get into if it weren't for you bringing it to them. And I can guarantee you it's most likely a better investment than where their money's sitting now, right?
Ed,
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 a question,
Ed had a
Senor.
question.
Yeah, hi, thanks. I hate to ask a question because it's so informative. But I was going to ask you to contrast this scenario. I was talking to the bank today and I could borrow $60,000 to do a rehab on my house to add a junior ADU. And I could get, I could rent the ADU, two bedroom, 1 bath ADU for $1,500 a month.
Beautiful.
I don't know exactly how much it would cost, but somewhere around that 60, range, or maybe a little more. So I was going to ask, so the loan that I get is just a cash out refi. It's not tied to anything. So I could spend the money on a note if I wanted to. So what I wanted you to do was contrast spending that money on a note versus spending it on a rehab to make another unit.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's, I mean, both great things, right? Buying notes, great, and building ADU on your property, great. The one thing I look at, guys, is not only just the returns, right? Returns are one thing, but implications on your lifestyle are another. And so you're talking about building an ADU or a secondary property adjacent to your own property where you live, correct?
Right.
And so what tenants would be in there and how they would act and how they would treat your property, and them being around you every day and having to see them pull in the same driveway, and all those things come into play with me when I'm weighing these two things. Okay. But in contrast, no, I mean, Ed, if you invested $65,000 and started collecting $1,000 a month of cash flow ongoing into the future, that's a really good investment. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fantastic. It's a great return. It's all good, and probably will increase the value of your original property as well. And it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff, man. In buying a note, you would just have much less stress and headache of all of that. Whereas you would just be collecting the monthly payments each month. You'd have no other property built on your property, no other tenant to drive with and hang out with in the morning, say hi to when you come get the mail and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's just a different game. But no, nothing wrong with either. And that ADU idea is not a bad idea if the other things don't bother you, right? If it doesn't, none of those things I mentioned bother you, then do the ADU. Do the ADU. And one of the reasons too is that I've heard some people sabor to, some people are getting cray, but I heard a lot of people at this one convention I was at said there was like 3 or 4 different people said they did the same thing. They built a little ADU on their property and moved into the ADU and rented out their big house.
So can I give you my feedback on that, Ed?
Yeah, sure.
So me personally, I don't never believe in refinancing, especially a cash out refinance, because what you're going to do is take your current mortgage loan, right? Yeah. And even though you might do it for an interest rate, or I don't know if you're doing it for the interest rate or the cash out money, right? So what you're going to end up doing is making a higher new loan, right? So say your current mortgage is 130, and the bank is going to give you 65K of that, right? So now you're going to take your current 130 and start a new loan at that higher amount, and the rest of it is going to, from that, the payoff is going to be the 65 that you get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you're going to take your current loan again and start a new balance, right?
Yeah,
and you're going to lose all those years that you made in that payment, right?
10 years.
10 years of payments that you made. So you're going to start a whole new loan. Why not, on the beautiful side that we try to teach you, go to the bank and say, I don't want your loan. I need something that's liquid. Give me a HELOC. That way I have a 10-year draw period and a 10-year time to pay that back, right? Now you can go ahead and put that 80 inside there, and now you're getting the residual cash flow. Now say that your monthly expenses, say $2,000 you have left over in cash flow, and now that extra $1,000 that you rent out is cash flow. You can pay that back to your line of credit. Again, your line of credit, that HELOC is liquid. So every time you pay that down, right, you're going to get $3,000 paid down on that line of credit. Say 2 years from now, you don't pay the good chunk of that line of credit off with your cash flow. Guess what you can do now? You can buy a mortgage note, Ed. And you also have $1,000 from your for your renter that's already on property. It makes sense. So
Yeah,
why
it
take a
does.
higher new loan and lose the years that you paid and not take a HELOC that's liquid? You pay down, you can use again, pay down, use again. 24 months later, you buy a mortgage note or whatever you want to do, and continuously let that HELOC be your new line of your new checking account. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wouldn't buy a note. I'd add another ADU.
There you go. So you add another ADU and let that ADU bring in you another $1,000. Now you got $4,000 you pay back to that line of credit. That line of credit is your new checking account. So every time you pay down by $4,000, once that payment post, it's a line of credit. It's revolving. I can use it again, right? A loan is open-ended. They're going to give me $65,000 and start my loan payment at the same time, right? 30 days later, I can't go to the bank and say, "Hey, man, I made a mistake. I didn't mean to pay you that much money. Can I get some of that back?" They're gonna look at you. They're gonna look at you crazy, right?
Yeah.
But if you go to them and you pay $2,000 on that, and you say, "Hey, I need $1,000 of that back," they're like, "It's your line of credit. Do what you want. You got to drop here. There's 10 years, Ed." You know. So that's basically what I always try to tell people on our side. That's basically how I did mine. So
yeah, I agree with that. But I went to the bank, and I'm totally retired, and the only income I have is my Social Security and the money that I get off of the unit, $1,500 a month, and even though my balance is really small, my debt to income ratio is 40%. So they wouldn't let me have a HELOC. But after listening to your lecture last week, I could see, it's probably better to pay a higher interest rate. See what they were offering me at this for this.
Yeah. So sometimes, sometimes though, what happens is if you say your debt to income ratio is high, that means they won't give you a fixed HELOC. They'll give you an ARM, which is a 5 year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they'll give you an ARM. They'll give you a higher interest rate, but that's fine. I'll take that ARM because again, on our side, we don't worry about interest rate. We don't make payments. Remember, Ed, we make payoffs. We making making that line of credit our new checking account. So we make payoffs. So I'm going to shut up because I see somebody else have their hand raised. But I just wanted to share my input. Yes, sir.
Thank you both.
And also, if I can add to that real quick before the next question, Sabur, also, there's the cram down of equity lines too. So these HELOCs, guys, you understand the market's been up. And because the market's up, everybody's real cocky and playing these games. But we all understand people that had HELOCs, $100,000 HELOCs when the market crash happened in 2007 and 8, the bank said, "Oh, you used to have $100,000 line of credit, but now you have 20 grand." Just like that. And you went, and all of a sudden your plans were foiled. So one of the reasons, Sabur, in an impending market turn down, in my opinion, with an impending market turn down, one of the reasons why I sold my house at the top of the market, cashed all my money out, rented a house for a while, waiting for the market to crash while I'm renting, building my money that I had from my house sale, building it, doubling it, tripling it, what I had in the note space. Then when the market crashes, I'm going to go out and buy again. And so all different ways to play the game, guys, but be careful of the HELOCs just because I feel there's an impending market crash and you can be saying, "Hey, I got that $60,000 line of credit. I'm all good, boy." And all of a sudden they say, "No, it's only 10 grand. Sorry."
Yeah. Maybe Fed even stopped their lines of credit. Their HELOCs right now.
Cut it right off. Just stop it.
Yeah, they're just doing loans now. They're doing the home equity loans, and they make it sound pretty because they're saying home equity loan, but it's actually So I definitely agree with you there, Patrick.
We want to move to Danielle. She has a question.
Yes, I may have missed this part. I had to step away for a quick second. But in regards to knowledge for newcomers, what resources or sources of knowledge would you recommend as far as how to get started and where to find them and things like that? Because there's a world of YouTube, books, and things like that. So it's hard to pin down what's the good stuff.
Yeah.
Patrick Franz and Desi Arnaz. They have a class every Saturday. they are the best at it as far as teachers.
Here's the reality of that, guys. Yes, there's books. There's great books. There's one right here. As a matter of fact, don't mind me getting up, but hang on one second. This is a great book that I think everybody should get. It's known as the Little Red Book in the industry, but it's called Invest in Debt, and it's by an author named Jimmy Napier. Invest in Debt is a really great book, so I say buy a copy. Check that out. But yeah, you're exactly right in the fact that when you buy books, you get a certain person's perspective, and you buy another book and get a different perspective, and so on and so forth. And how much time do you have to read all day? Another one is that when you're on these YouTube channels, people make YouTube videos, but normally they're not hour-long, 2-hour-long YouTube videos, 3 to 10-minute tidbits. And you're picking things up, but it's hard to piece it all together formally, you know, it's little pieces. It's very difficult. And many people in this note investing space have taken it upon themselves to charge extraneous amounts of money to teach people and coach this business. I'm talking extraneous amounts. I think $3,500 will get you into one of the more affordable coaching groups where you get 1 hour of one-on-one coaching per month, and the rest is video training and one mastermind every month or something like that. $3,500. The top, I think, goes to about $50,000 to join Eddie Speed's main mastermind group, about 50 grand. So this gets crazy. So what we did for folks like you guys is we started a coaching group where we could cast a very broad net and could be affordable to anybody that wants to learn this game. And so we have a coaching group. It's $97 a month, if you can believe that, cheaper than your cell phone bill, if you have an iPhone, just kidding. But $97 a month, no long-term contract. People could drop out at any time. And here's what we offer. We've done about 20 or so hours of footage in what we call the Fundamentals of Note Investing video training course. We could probably sell the course for $1,000 on the open market all day long to beginners. We don't do it that way. We give the entire video training course away the first day you sign up for our coaching group so that we can get you past the basics as fast as possible. Past the foundational stuff you've got to know, the ABCs. We'll get you past the ABCs as quick as possible. Then we have, like Sabur mentioned, a live Saturday mastermind call every Saturday morning from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific time. Amazing content on those. Sabur's even been a speaker of ours once or twice, I believe now. And we have great speakers on there, great presentations, educational subjects, Q&A sessions. It's every Saturday. Like, if you can believe it, 60, 70 people show up sometimes on these Saturday mastermind calls. It's pretty neat. It's a great group to be a part of. And then for those of you who understand it's difficult to buy notes, not only because it's difficult unless you know people like Sabur to find where to buy them from, but once somebody like Sabur presents to you a note to purchase, do you know how to do all the full due diligence and make sure you're making a great purchase? And can you do it fast enough to where Sabur doesn't sell the note to somebody else who's interested? And that becomes the hard part. And so our family business, where we have 7 family employees, is called ACI Legacy Group, and we are note dealers. And so what we've been doing for the past 3 years is buying notes into our family portfolio, fronting the cash, buying the notes into the family portfolio, vetting them fully through our due diligence process, and then selling them singularly as one-offs to folks just like you that want to have a kind of a turnkey, fully vetted note to put in their portfolio. And so we sell 5 to 10 fully vetted notes every single month. And you get to be on our preferred investor list and be privy to those notes as they come out for sale. And then the one-on-one coaching portion means that you get me whenever you can see a time in my calendar that's available. And so that's how I do the one-on-one coaching. Anybody who's a paying member of the group can book any day, anytime, as long as there's a slot open in my calendar, and I will hop on a phone call, a Zoom call, a 3-way call with a potential investor of yours, or whatever it is you need to guide you along your learning process and help get you into your first note and those kinds of things. Attorneys nationwide, realtors nationwide, all of our connections. I mean, many people that are big in the business like Sabur, we know, they know us. It's a small world. And so you get to tap in to our connections and infrastructure. And on top of that, we have now a $20 million fund that we've started, and we're raising money to buy larger pools of notes from larger institutions, or from Sabur if he can get us the right pool. So yeah, we've got a fund now. And so all of that kind of coaching, one-on-one coaching, fundamentals videos, live Saturday masterminds, being privy to notes that are for sale that you can buy on a monthly basis. All of that's included. We charge $97 a month. And my website's very easy to remember for those of you that want to join or go check it out. It's thenotementor.com. I can throw it in the chat too real quick, but thenotementor.com is my website. You can go there, scroll about halfway down my homepage, and there's a little green bar that says learn more about the coaching group. You're welcome to join. Like I said, no long-term contract. If you're with us for a month, I believe the first month probably gives people about $3,000 to $5,000 worth of note investing education for $97. And because of that, a lot of people continue to stay, but we don't mind if you stay for a month or a year. It's up to you and being a part of our group. So it's called the Millionaire Maker Note Investing Coaching Group. It's a little long-winded. The name we came up with when we started it, but it's the Millionaire Maker Coaching Group, and you guys can sign up at thenotementor.com. If anybody wants to email me, it's patrick@thenotementor.com. And I will put this in here too, guys, but my Calendly link, if you guys, oh, you know what, Sabur, I have a surprise for you guys too in just a second. My Calendly link is calendly.com/thenotementor. Any of you folks on this call that want a little bit deeper of a 15-30-minute consultation about notes are welcome to go to that calendar link. Again, it's calendly.com/thenotementor. Any appointment that's available that you see on my calendar, you're welcome to book it and we'll hop on a call. And also special, Sabur, I know there's a few people in this meeting now that are actually a part of our group, but anybody who's not, Sabur, I know that you got the invitation for tomorrow's mastermind call, right? I sent it out just a couple hours ago.
Yes, sir.
And I know that these people are probably in your database somehow, but anybody who's on this call without paying for the $97 a month membership, but anybody who wants to check it out and see what our live mastermind calls are all about, anybody on this call, Sabur, you're welcome to forward to their email the Zoom call invite for tomorrow. It's 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific time. And we're going to have a guest speaker, Bill Tan, who's famous for teaching the financial calculator and how to use that as a tool in your investing career. And so he'll be our guest speaker tomorrow. We'll have some fun. Anybody who's on this call, you're welcome to jump on the mastermind tomorrow. And Sabur, I will count on you to forward them the Zoom link.
No problem. No worries. Yes, sir. All right. Any more questions for Patrick? We don't hold up his time. You know, we try to keep that. Anybody got anything for him?
Thank you
What
for
is
the
the
information.
Calendly?
I'm sorry. I heard two people speaking at once.
I said, what is the Calendly?
Oh, it's like the word calendar, but it's CALENDLY. Calendly.
It's an online booking, scheduling booking for coaching. Like if you want to speak to somebody, you go to Calendar and you basically put their backslash in their name and you'll book a time to talk with them.
And I just put it in the chat, Ed. If you can see the chat, it's there.
Yeah, I was looking at that and while writing it down, I forgot what it was.
Yeah. And I think you guys can even access my calendar through my website at thenotementor.com too, I believe. And guys, yeah. And also my partner, Desi Arnaz, who is my mentor in this space, who taught me everything I know. He's also got a great YouTube channel that he spent a lot of time on to give a whole bunch of free content on this stuff too, guys. And if you just type in Desi Arnaz, like the actor, right? If you type in Desi Arnaz, you're going to have to type notes afterwards. If you type in Desi Arnaz regularly, you're going to come up with I Love Lucy and all that stuff. But Desi Arnaz notes, you type that into YouTube and you'll find my partner, and he's got several videos about note investing on there that you can check out for free.
Anybody got any other questions for Patrick before we wrap up tonight? Well, Patrick, as always, it's a pleasure speaking with you. And I really, really enjoy you jumping on our call today. It's very informational. I hope everybody got some good content. I did record it and I will have it on our YouTube channel for everybody. Again, y'all know our coaches. If you have any problems or anything, reach out to coaches. Rosie, it's all yours. Patrick, again, thank you, sir.
Thank you guys for allowing me to come on, and I hope I provided your audience a little bit of value about note investing. Hope to work with anybody in the future that wants to learn more.
Thank you,
Hey,
Patrick.
guys, reach out and put into the